Yo, guys, Spider Bite. You might want to settle in. This might be a long one, and it'll probably be incoherent at times. Well, not really incoherent, but it's sort of all over the place because I have a lot of thoughts on this issue, and there are a lot of aspects about it that I want to look at. And I was actually reminded by one of my Twitter followers, Wrestling Fanboy, about this article. I think I sort of glanced over it, or I'd seen at least the title of it, but I hadn't had a chance to look at it until he tweeted it to me and asked my opinion about it. So I'm gonna put a link in the description, and it's basically an article or report about this 14-year-old kid in Stockport, and I'm assuming that's in like the UK or Europe or I don't know where exactly. But he hung himself, and the title of the article was Coroner's Warning Over Call of Duty Computer Game After Hanging Tragedy of Stockport 14-Year-Old. And his name's in the article, whatever. So, I I have some mixed feelings about this. I have some thoughts, and to blame it on strictly on a computer game. So they discussed it a little bit in the article, and I just want to give my thoughts, and I'm going to try and go through this sort of one bit at a time, where I'll talk about some aspects. So, the first thing I'd say is that number one, Modern Warfare or Call of Duty games are all, I believe, rated M, and I'm pretty sure in Canada, U.S., and a lot of other countries that if you go in and try and purchase an M-rated game, I mean, you have to be of age, and typically it's like 17 plus or something like that. And that's not to say, you know what? I mean, kids that are younger do play Call of Duty, and whether it's the parents letting them play, etc. So I'm gonna put some onus on the parents, and it's not to say. And I know a lot of you guys that actually watch our videos on a regular basis are under the age of 17, and I appreciate that. And I know kids that are 16, 15, 14, or whatever do play Call of Duty games on a regular basis. But one thing I will say, my oldest daughter is 8 years old. I will never let her play this game until she's at least at a minimum 14, 15 years old. I won't even let her. I don't care if I'm in the room or anything. I mean, especially World at War. I mean, World at War is a lot worse from a graphical standpoint, in gibbing, we'll call it gibbing standpoint, than is any of the other Call of Duties. Maybe going beyond or before COD 4. I don't know, but my, we were at the bus stop yesterday with my daughter, and there's some other kids talking about they were talking about RPGs and grenade launchers mounted on their guns and stuff like that. I mean, they were pretty much talking about Call of Duty or Battlefield, or whatever game they were talking about. And one of them's 8 years old, and he's talking about firing off this RPG and blowing up a car with this undermount grenade launcher. And I'm just listening to that. I'm like, no, not in my house. Not in my house. I've got a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old, two girls, and my oldest isn't stupid. She knows I play these games, and she knows I produces these videos. But if I'm not recording. If she comes down here, I'm not recording. The game's paused. I usually have a door shut. Typically, they have to sort of knock and give me an indication they're coming in if they're home. And I don't usually do commentaries or anything when they're in the house, unless I know for a fact they're upstairs and they can't really hear me and they can't really hear the gameplay or game sound. But she's not stupid. She knows the game, and she knows approximately what it is. And again, I would never, ever, I don't know. I mean, I guess I can say that now, but there's no way she's playing any game like that until she's at least 14, 15 years old. And that's just my opinion, and that's the way I'm going to run my household. And that's not to say everybody else should run it the same, but obviously they're rated. The games are rated in movies the same thing. They're rated a certain way because it's not appropriate, because you have impressionable kids, and I don't care how much you talk to them about, oh, it's only a game, it's not real, etc., etc. It's still going to have some sort of impact, and in some cases, it's going to have more of an impact than in others. It depends on the emotional state that child is in. So that's one thought and one train of thought about this. So the next aspect that I wanted to talk about is this business apparently of people trolling online when they're playing games like COD or whatever games that provide the ability to communicate with somebody online through your mic. That I mean, there's this proliferation, and I know some of them are probably not on as bad of a scale as others, but I mean, there are people that just produce content on YouTube that just it's just trolling people. It's trolling people and recording their responses, and everybody gets a good kick out of it. Somebody freaks out and starts swearing and going off. You know, people laugh about it, and it's not just on YouTube. I mean, it's in general. People, you know, I've seen people online, and I can't say that. I mean, I have done it a little bit. I'm not, you know, I'm not a saint here. I'm definitely not a saint here. Far from it, okay? And have done things. I've done a lot of things that I regret, and so has everybody else. And I have harped on people, but I don't anymore. I don't really. Sometimes I may respond a little bit and laugh or whatever, but I typically mute people in the lobbies. But you know, again, has it become socially acceptable to do these kinds of things? And like I said, I think there are people that go way farther with it than others, both just when playing in general, but as well as people posting this on YouTube for a good laugh. Like somehow it's becoming socially acceptable to do this crap. I just disagree with it. I absolutely disagree with it. You don't know who you're talking to. I mean, in real life, are you going to go and talk to some 12-year-old or 13-year-old or 14-year-old like that, face to face, with other witnesses around? Oh my god! Like if that was my kid and I saw someone talking to my kid like that, an adult or teenager or you know late teens talking to my 12 or 13 or 14-year-old like that in real life, you'd get your fucking ass kicked. You would be on that fucking ground so goddamn fast that it would make your head spin. All right, and that's why you don't. I mean, you see that. I mean, is that can you compare that to bullying in school? And I've heard lots of stories. I mean, my wife's friend at work has a son who's handicapped, mentally handicapped, and physically handicapped, and he gets picked on all the time. And you know, I kind of blame the schools a little bit because they don't do shit. You know, he gets beat up, and after the fifth time, they suspended the kid off the bus because he was beating him up on the bus. Oh, it's just so they suspended him off the bus for 3 days or whatever. That's bullshit, man. That's bullshit. And if that was my kid, I'd be going over to the parents' house and saying, "Hey, your kid's gonna put his hands on my kid. I'm gonna put my hands on you." And I'm not saying. I mean, that shouldn't really be socially acceptable too, either. But still, I mean, it's just ridiculous the things that people get away with, and you don't know. Again, not only do you not know how old they are, you don't know what kind of mental state they're in. What is it funny that this kid's freaking out and screaming his head off online, and you post it up on YouTube and everybody has a good laugh about it? Come on, come on. Do I think that could potentially contribute to a situation like this, where some kid has such low self-esteem from a variety of factors, and you just add that sort of thing right on top of it, so he gets trolled online, and you just push him to the brink. You know, I've seen comments on YouTube, people telling other people to kill themselves. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Some of the shit that goes on, and it makes me sick. It does make me sick. And we have seen other cases in the past as well, other articles that I've glanced over that indicate people actually going after other people because of comments that were said online, and they happen to be in the same town or area or whatever, and we've seen it. We've seen with bullying. I mean, how many times have we seen or heard of reports of these kids actually bringing weapons to school because they got bullied? They bring a gun to school. In many cases, or in most cases, thankfully, it's found out, or they found out, oh shit, they brought a weapon to school or whatever. But in some cases, like people have gotten hurt, kids have gone off, and it's happened, and we all know it's happened, right? Because a large part because of bullying, and I'm making that correlation right here and right now. I mean, whether it's in your face right up front bullying, or it's online bullying. I think it's the same thing, pretty much the same thing and same result. And I also think that this day and age, and more so than any other time in history, that kids just have so much more to worry about. I mean, I've heard again some of my wife's friends talk about some of their kids that really have this addiction to their phone and texting, and it's like it's almost like a drug. You know, they have to have that phone. They have to be texting. They have to know what's going on. They have to be in the know. They always have to be connected, and they get anxiety when they don't. And I've heard of kids actually being medicated because of this. And you know, it's like taking their phone away. It's like the end of the world, right? Taking their Xbox away or their PlayStation away. It's like the end of the world. So, I mean, you don't know what kind of state these kids are in. And it's just my opinion that, I mean, I know and I understand there are a lot of contributing factors into why kids do what they do, and in some cases go off either by hurting themselves or by hurting others. But what are we doing as a society and a community to stop contributing to that? To stop proliferating and stop glorifying, you know, the virtual online bullying that's happening today. It's happening in a lot of areas, and like I said, I mean, in videos, comments, in a lot of different places. And I don't know. I just it's discouraging, to say the least. It's discouraging. And you know, what's your opinion? I mean, are these things just becoming more and more socially acceptable? And you know, I'll put the sort of the devil's advocate out there too. I mean, in some cases, I think that we're coddling our kids way too much that we used to. So just kind of looking at it from the other side of the tracks as well. You know, we have this at our kids' school. It's this peaceful school thing, and they're not allowed to put their hands on other kids, etc., etc. And it's like a huge deal when they sort of roughhouse, whether it's, you know, they're intentionally trying to hurt people or whatever, they're roughhousing a little bit, they're playing rough. I mean, that's looked badly upon. And you know, I think back to when I was in school, man, I was kind of a bit of a badass when I was in school. I got my ass kicked plenty. That's fine, and I'm fine with that. But you know, we got in trouble. I mean, if there was something that happened, I mean, we get in trouble or whatever. We just get a little talking to. But you know, nowadays it's like this huge ordeal. And you know, do some of the issues that that the school brings home with parents, I think, is just, you know, they're just being kids. They're just being kids. I mean, there was no malicious intent here. I mean, they're just being reactive, and yeah, they got a little rough. Big deal, right? So I think there's that side of it as well. But I still think that that by glorifying and you know, again, it almost seems like it's becoming more socially acceptable, at least online, to do this kind of thing, and I just disagree with it. And I'm of the opinion that it's definitely a contributing factor to contributing to issues that some of these kids might have. Again, you don't know how old they are. You're trolling on some 12-year-old. Haha, it's funny. You're a dick. You're a dick. Plain simple. I'm sorry. But it's my opinion. And I'll say it again. I'm no saint either. But it is what it is. This is just an opinion piece. It doesn't matter whether you agree with me or not. Just welcome your opinion, and we can have a discussion on it and see what you guys say and what you guys think. And that's it. I'm done. Woohoo! It was not even 15 minutes. All right, I'm Spider Bite, and I'm out.